everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we are making these fabulous mittens. Oh my goodness, they are using the Alpine stitch, and we are using single crochets and double crochets and front post double crochets to make this beautiful design. And I'm just going to show you one mitten because the right and left hand are exactly the same and they are interchangeable, so you don't have to do a right hand or left hand because the seam is actually up the side of the mitten. So nice. I'm gonna put them on so you can see how fabulous they fit me. Oh my goodness, they are so warm too. This soft yarn, big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing this yarn today. This is from yarnspirations.com, and we are using the color blush, rose blush, for the mittens that I am going to be making. But you can use any color, any size 4 medium worsted weight yarn, and this yarn is just incredibly soft and warm for winter, and it's fashionable too. I love the colors that come in the soft yarn. So I can't really do much with mittens, so I'm going to take them off, but I want to show you the supplies. So that is the yarn, and I just used one ball. Actually, you can see the whole ball I used. I only have this little bit left, and one ball of yarn is 256 yards, so you just need a little less than that. I would say about 200 yards actually, because there's still quite a bit of yarn in here. So you can make 2 mittens out of 1 skein of yarn. How cool is that? So I'm also going to be using a G size hook, which is 4.25 millimeters. This crochet hook is from the Etsy shop Would Be Fancy. I'll put a link in the description of this video for you to get more information about Would Be Fancy, like them on Facebook, and support a small business, and get your ergonomically hand-carved wooden crochet handle today with your favorite hook in it. So I'm using a G hook today. Also use a scissors and a yarn needle to cut yarn and sew in your ends, all that fun stuff. And we're actually sewing on the thumb is made separately, so we're sewing that to the mitten later. So we're making the full body of the mitten and then the thumb separate, and then we'll sew them together. So that is it. So stay tuned for this tutorial. Make sure to check out all the links in the description of this video. There's a link to the free crochet pattern on YARNutopia.com. Also, there's a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all the social medias. Make sure you're following me on all platforms. And if you share photos on Instagram of your projects, if you make these mittens or any of my projects that I share on YouTube or my website, be sure to hashtag YARNutopia so I can see, or tag me in your photos so I can see. I'd love to see the progress you make in your crochet journey. So thanks to Red Heart Yarns, thanks to my dad who's filming this tutorial, and thanks to you for watching. Let's get started and make these mittens. Alright, to start off we are going to make a slip knot, so put your short end over your long end, then fold this down and then pull your long end through that hole and pull tight, and there's your slip knot, and you can insert your hook right in there and we can begin. So let's start off by chaining 2. So yarn over, pull through, 1 and 2. Now if you wanted to start with the magic ring and go on to round 1, you can do that as well. But we are going to work into this second chain from the hook right here. We're going to go in there and we're going to make 6 single crochets. So go in, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through both of the loops on your hook. That is a single crochet. So again, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 2, here's 3, here's 4, 5, and 6. Whoops, 6, there we go. Now I'm going to be working in continuous rounds, so I am going to grab an extra piece of yarn. If you have an actual stitch marker, you can put it right in here to mark your rounds, but I'm just going to stick this extra piece of yarn in here to mark my rounds. And for round 2, we are going to go into this very first stitch. If you need to count back 6 stitches, do that and go into the very first stitch and put 2 single crochets in there. So 1 and 2. And we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So go into this next stitch here and put 2 single crochets. Oops. 1 and 2. Okay, next stitch here, 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. So at the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. And again, we're working in continuous rounds, so we don't have to attach to the beginning. And I'm almost there, so you can just continue watching me. If you need to count back 12 stitches, do that. You can move your stitch marker up a row, just like that. And now we can go on to round 3. Round 3's increase says to put 2 single crochets in the first stitch right here. So put 2 single crochets in that first stitch, 1 and 2, and then just put 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And then just repeat that sequence all the way around. So put 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the stitch after that. Okay, then 2 single crochets in the next, and then 1 single crochet in the next. And do that all the way around. At the end of round 3, you'll have 18 stitches. Alright, I have my 18 stitches around. Moving my stitch marker up, I'm going on to round 4. So we are going to put 2 single crochets in the first stitch right here. 1 and 2. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So go into this stitch here, put a single crochet, and then go into the next stitch and just put 1 single crochet. And then we're going to repeat that whole sequence from beginning to here all the way around. So put 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in each of these next 2 stitches. And then just repeat. So do that all the way around, and at the end of round 4, you should have 24 stitches around. Let me see, yep, 24 stitches around. So I'm going to do that, and then we can increase again for round 5. Alright, I now have 24 stitches around. I'm moving my stitch marker up, and we are going to increase one more time. So I'm going to put 2 single crochets in this first stitch. My stitch marker is kind of covering it there. So put 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches for this round. So 1, 1, and 1. And then repeat that sequence all the way around. So put 2 single crochets in this next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in each of these next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so just repeat that then, 2 in the next and 1 in the next 3, and at the end of round 5 you'll have 30 stitches. Okay, so now I have 30 stitches around, okay? So now I'm not going to be using this stitch marker any longer. We're going to be working in rows. So what we're going to do now for round 6, or row 6, referring to the pattern, we're going to slip stitch into this next stitch right here. So go into this next stitch, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Okay, so now we're in that next stitch there. And that is going to be our first stitch of the round. And what we're going to do is chain 2, 1 and 2, and that does not count as anything. So just ignore that chain 2 here and throughout. And we are going to double crochet into that same stitch. So yarn over, go into that same stitch that we just slip stitched and chained 2 in, yarn over and pull through. Oops, I'm sorry. I got snagged here. There we go. Pull through there. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 of the loops, and then yarn over and pull through those other 2 loops. Okay, that's a double crochet. I'll show you again since I messed that one up. We're going to double crochet into each stitch around. So yarn over, go into this next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through those other 2 loops. Okay, that's a double crochet. So no increasing, we're just putting 1 double crochet into each stitch around for 30 stitches around. So it's that simple. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and we'll go on to round 7 next. Alright, I just came back around here. So now what we're going to do is we are going to ignore this chain 2 here, and we're going to go into the double crochet stitch right here and slip stitch into that. So go into the top of that stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. So now we've closed that round. Going on to the next row here is row 7. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work so we're looking at the inside of the mitten. Okay, so this is the inside. And what we're going to do is now single crochet in each stitch around. So go into this first stitch right here. Okay, if you see your work like this, just like that, go in to that first one and make a single crochet. So pull through and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there's 1. Go into the next stitch and just single crochet around, super simple. So do that and then we'll go on to row 8 next. When you're finishing this row, it may look like this isn't a stitch because your slip stitch is in there and your chain 1, but this is in fact a stitch, so we want to single crochet in there. And if you are a little confused or not sure if you have enough stitches, just count 30 stitches around. And then we're going to ignore this chain 1 here, go into the first single crochet stitch right here and slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through and through. And we are going to go on to round 8. We are going to chain 2, 1 and 2. We're going to turn our work around. So now we're looking at the outside of our mitten here. And we are going to work on the stitches on this double crochet row from round 6, okay? But we are on round 8 right now. What we are going to do, it says double crochet in the very first stitch on round 7. So this stitch right here, we are going to double crochet. So yarn over, go into this first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, now you can see below this stitch is this first stitch right here. Okay, so we're not going to work on this stitch. The second stitch is worked right here. Okay, so what we're going to do for our next stitch is work a front post double crochet on the stitch from the 2 previous row before. So 1, 2, the second previous row here. So what we're going to do is yarn over, go down to this next stitch right here. Okay, right below the second stitch, we're going to go around the post, just like that. Then yarn over and pull through. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And then yarn over and pull through those other 2 loops. That's a front post double crochet on that second stitch there. So we're going to alternate these 2 stitches all the way around. So as you can see back here, now this next stitch that was right here, we're not going to work into that stitch because the front post stitch that's right here is basically worked in front of it. So we're going to ignore that one right there. So we're going to double crochet into this one right here. So yarn over, go into this next stitch on round 7, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So double crochet in there. Then you can go below here, you can see there's a double crochet next to there. This next one is our next stitch where we're going to go, and we're going to do a front post double crochet. So yarn over, go down to row 6 around this next post and make your front post double crochet, just like that. Okay, so we're just alternating those 2 stitches. So then you can see behind here, there's the stitch that it's worked in front of, so we're just going to skip over that stitch, and our next stitch is going to be in this stitch right here. So we're going to double crochet into, not this one, but this one right here. Okay, and we're going to double crochet in there, and then we're going to go down here, and you can see this one's right above here, so we're going to go to the next stitch, and this is our next stitch. We're going to make our front post double crochet on. And we're just alternating those 2 stitches all the way around, just like that. It looks really cool. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and we'll go on to round 9 next. You will end row 8 with a front post treble crochet on the last stitch there. Okay, then you can see your double crochet stitch here. Ignore the chain up 2. We're just going to go into the actual double crochet and slip stitch in there to close round 8. And you can see it makes that nice ridge. So now we are going on to round 9. It says to chain 1 and turn your work so you're looking at the inside of the mitten. And we are just going to single crochet into each stitch around. So very basically exactly like how we did round 7. So just single crochet in each stitch around, just like this. And then we'll go on to round 10 next. Alright, just like I'm reminding you like how round 7 was, this last stitch right here is a stitch, so just make sure that you have your 30 stitches around. So now we're going to slip stitch to the first single crochet right here, okay, so ignore this chain 1, it's very small anyways. Go into the first single crochet, yarn over, pull through, and that was round 9, okay, it was just a simple single crochet row. So now we're going to chain up 2, 1, and 2, and we're going to turn our work so we're looking at the outside of our mitten now. And now we are going to work similarly how we worked round 8, but we are going to alternate our stitches. So instead of starting with a regular double crochet, we're going to start with a front post double crochet on the first stitch. So yarn over, go down to round 8, so 2 rows previous right here, around the post of your first stitch, then yarn over, pull through, oopsie, lost it, there we go, pull it through, then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And there's a front post double crochet on our very first stitch. So that means this stitch right here is our, oops, right? Our first stitch is right here, sorry. This is our first stitch right here, so then the next stitch will be worked into this stitch here, which is going to be a regular double crochet into the stitch from round 9. So go into the stitch from round 9 and make a regular double crochet. Okay, now this next stitch is a regular double crochet from round 8, so we are going to front post double crochet on the regular double crochets from the previous row here, if that makes sense. So front post double crochet on the stitches that are just the regular double crochets from the rows 2 previous. Okay, and then alternate by double crocheting in the stitch next to here. So this one is skipped because the front post double crochet is in front of there, so we're going to put a regular double crochet in that stitch. Just like that. Then you can see this regular double crochet here. So yarn over, go around the post. Okay. And make your front post double crochet on that regular double crochet stitch. Then we can go back here, see this stitch, go into this stitch right here, and make a regular double crochet. And then I'm just alternating the 2 stitches, just like that. Very simple. So this is row 10, so I'm just going to do that all the way around. Whoops. And then once I finish round 10, we'll go on to round 11 next. Alright, so finishing round 10, you want to end this round with a regular double crochet in the last stitch. Whoopsie. On round 9 here. Okay. And then you can slip stitch to the front post double crochet stitch right here. Okay, so you can see your chain 2, 1, 2. So go into the stitch right there, yarn over, pull through, and then chain 1 and turn your work around to look at the inside of the mitten. And we, for round 11, are going to single crochet in each stitch around, just like we did for rounds 9 and 7. Just single crochet around, very simple. So do that, and then we'll come back for round 12. Alright, just finishing up round 11 here. So now slip stitch into the first single crochet stitch right here, And then for the next part, for rounds 12 through 22, we are going to repeat rounds 8 through 11. So you can see I'm chaining up 2, turning my work to the outside of my mitten here, and now I'm going to repeat round 8 for round 12. So that was starting with a regular double crochet in the first stitch. Okay, then a front post double crochet on that next stitch down here. Okay, then a regular double crochet in the next stitch, just like this, and just repeating row 8 for row 12. Repeat row 9 for row 13. Let me see if I'm doing this right. Yeah. Repeat row 10 for row 14. Repeat row 11 for row 15. Repeat row 8 for row 16. Repeat row 9 for row 17. Repeat row 10 for round 18. Repeat row 11 for round 19. Then repeat row 8 again for row 20. Repeat row 9 for row 21, and then repeat row 10 for row 22. And then once you are finished with row 22, I'll come back and show you for row 23, it's going to be similar to a repeat of row 11, however we are going to make the thumb hole on round 23. So I'll come back when I finish row 22, and then I'll show you how to make the thumb hole for row 23. Alright, I just finished row 22 here. I'm just slip stitching to the beginning. So you can see, let me chain 1 here so that we can go on to round 23. But your piece should be to the point where your thumb is. Okay, so look at that. How cool. And the Alpine stitch looks so nice this way. So I love the look of it so far. So now row 23, we are going to create a hole to fit our thumb through there. So what we're going to do is turn our work so we're looking at the inside, just like how all the odd rows are going right now. And it says to single crochet in the first stitch right here. So go into this first stitch and single crochet. And now you can chain either 3 or 4. So yarn over, pull through, 1, 2, I'm just going to chain 3, I have a pretty small thumb, but if you need to chain 4, you can, and then skip that many stitches on your row here. So skip 3 stitches if you chained 3, or skip 4 stitches if you chained 4, and then single crochet into the next stitch. So go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So I chained 3, skipped 3 stitches, and single crocheted in that next stitch there. And now we're just going to single crochet in the rest of the stitches around. So we created our thumb hole right there. So I'm going to do that, and then once I come back for round 24, I'll show you how we are going to work into those chains for the thumb hole on the next round. Alright, just slip stitch to the first single crochet of that round, and we can go on to round 24 next. Let's chain up 2, 1 and 2, turn our work around, and now we are going to be working the Alpine stitch just like how we were working over here. So you can see the first stitch over here is a front post stitch here, so we're going to put a regular double crochet in the first stitch, just like that. So it's very similar to what, round 8 here? Yeah. So now we are going to work a front post on this next stitch, and then a regular double crochet on this next stitch. So we're looking at the outside of our mitten now, and then toward the end of this round will be where the thumb hole is going to be. So I'm just going to alternate these 2 stitches all the way around till I get to the thumb hole, and then I'll show you how to get past that. Alright, so I had to do a front post stitch right before this chain 3 space. So now we're just going to put 1 double crochet in each of these chains. You can work into the chain hole, but I'm going to work in each of the chains themselves. And we're just going to put regular double crochets into them. Okay, so this one here, and then this one here. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do on this very last stitch of this round, there's 1 stitch here, we're going to put a front post double crochet. Sorry, I was going to say treble for some reason, but a regular front post double crochet on that last stitch of that round. And then we're going to slip stitch to the first double crochet of this round, just like that. Okay, so as you can see, we have these, and the thumb hole is here. Fabulous. So now going on to the next row, row 25. Rows 25, let's see, row 25 is going to repeat row 9. So just chain 1, turn your work into the inside, and then single crochet around. Then row 26 is a repeat of row 10. Row 27 is a repeat of row 11. And then row 28 is a repeat of row 8. We're just doing the Alpine stitch, you know. And then row 29 is a repeat of row 9. So I want you to do that all for those next few rounds until you finish round 29. And now if you need to follow along with the written instructions, it shares which rows repeat which rows. So you can follow along with that. That is on YARNutopia.com. It's linked in the description of this video. So make sure to follow along which rows repeat which rows, and then just do that for the next few rounds. Once I finish round 29, I'll come back and I'll show you round 30. Alright, I'm just finishing row 29. I'm looking at the inside of my mitten and I'm single crocheting around, just repeating round 9 there. So there we go. Now for the next row, you can chain 1 and turn your work around. Okay, so now we're looking at the outside of our work. First of all, let's pause here for a second and show what it looks like. Here's the thumb hole. We'll make the cover after we finish this mitten part. But I'm at to the point where I'm by my wrist now, so I want to come down like a cuff. So what I'm going to do is take my crochet hook here. We are going to single crochet in each stitch around. Now looking at the outside of our work, and we're no longer turning our work, and we are going to work in continuous rounds for 10 rounds. Okay, you can do it longer if you want to make a long cuff and fold it up, or if you just want a long cuff, you can go as many rounds as you want, but I'm going to do 10, so rounds 30 to 39 are going to be my just single crocheting around this cuff. And I'm just going to work in continuous rounds, just like this. So if you need to, insert your stitch marker at the end of your round to continue and make sure you know where the beginning of your round is. But other than that, I'm just going to single crochet for 10 rounds. And then I'll come back and we'll make the thumb. Alright, I just did 10 rounds here in continuous rounds, looking at the outside of my work, and this created the cuff. So now we're going to fasten this off, so just slip stitch into the very next stitch, and then chain 1, just like that, and then you can cut your yarn, and then pull it through that chain 1, and pull tight, and that is secure, and then you can grab a yarn needle, and take this strand and yarn your needle and then just sew it in on the inside so that it is hidden underneath your stitches. Okay, and then once that's sewn in, we are going to grab some more of the same color yarn, unless you want the thumb to be a different color. It's creator's choice. But we are going to make the thumb next. here we go. So you can see here, that's what it looks like. So we just have to make the thumb now. So I'm going to set this aside and grab the yarn. And we are going to make a slip knot. And then we're going to chain 2. If you wanted to start with a magic ring, you can do that. And in the second chain from the hook, we are going to put 8 single crochets. So go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's 1, here's 2, here's 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see I'm working in a circular motion also here. 7 and 8. Okay, then we need to count back 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my first stitch, and we are going to slip stitch into the first stitch. Just like that. Cool. Round 2 says to chain 2 and double crochet in each stitch around. So just chain 2, double crochet in this first stitch, and in each stitch around. So do that, and then we'll show you round 3 next. Alright, just slip stitch to the first double crochet of this round and go on to the next round here. Round 3 it says to turn your work and chain 1. So now we're looking at the inside of the thumb, and very similarly to the main part here, we are going to just single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then we'll go on to round 4 next. Alright, I'm going to slip stitch to the first single crochet of this round. It's a pretty tight situation here, but you can get it through if you can stick your finger in there. And it's stretchy. I mean, it's really stretchy. So there's that. So now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, turn your work around. And just like how we worked the hat, or why did I say hat? The mitten. I'm thinking about making a hat that looks like this. But this mitten part here, we worked it doing the Alpine stitch. So now we're just going to do the Alpine stitch section for the thumb. So round 4 through 11, it was just going to repeat rounds 8 through 11 from the main part of the mitten. So chain 2, double crochet in your first stitch. Okay, then double crochet, or front post double crochet on the stitch from round 2 here. Okay, then double crochet in the next stitch, just like that. So round 4 is going to be a repeat of round 8 from the main part of the mitten. Then round 5 is going to be a repeat of round 9. Round 6 is going to be a repeat of round 10. Round 7 is going to be a repeat of round 11, and then you're going to repeat it one more time. So I'll do that, and then I'll be right back. Alright, I'm just finishing my round 11 here, so I'm just going to chain 1, and we're going to fasten this off with a long tail because we're going to sew it to the mitten. So I'm going to pull it through that chain 1 there, just like that. And if you need to test this out, you can obviously make yours longer or shorter just by repeating rounds 8 through 11 from the main part of the mitten and making the Alpine stitch. But this is what my thumb looks like, and it fits me perfectly. So we're just going to sew it now to the main part. But we want to sew it inside out, because if you sew it from the outside, like this, it just kind of, you can see the seam of everything. So I'm going to put this piece, it's very difficult because it is kind of a tighter, smaller piece, but just put this inside out. It'll take me a second because it's such a smaller piece. But once you get this inside out, we're going to put the mitten part inside out as well. Ugh, it's difficult because they're such tight stitches. Come on. I'm struggling over here. The struggle is real. Got it. Alright, so that's inside out. Now this glove needs to be inside out as well. This will be easier. Put inside out. There we go. So now you can see the thumb hole here, and we're going to lay this thumb over the top of this hole right there, and we're going to grab our yarn needle with that long strand, and we are going to sew this to the thumb hole. So basically just whip stitch it all the way around, going through both layers of your pieces, just like this, and making sure that there's no holes or gaps or anything in between the pieces all the way around. Okay, so I'm just going to sew this to the mitten, and when I come back I'll show you how to fasten off. Alright, just when you're all the way around, you want to like stick your finger kind of in there, stretch it out, make sure there's no gaps or weird areas, and there's none for me, so I'm going to fasten this off. I'm just going to go around a few of the stitches here. Oops, actually I'm going to sew that together. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go around a few of the stitches like this. Keep my finger in the loop here. Come back through the loop and then pull tight. Okay, and that ties a little knot. And then you can do that once or twice, or even up to 3 times if you want it to be like super secure. And then you're just going to weave in this end underneath some of the stitches on your mitten so that it hides that. Just like that. And then you can put it right side out after you trim the extra yarn here. So flip it right side out. And obviously that was a difficult thing to grab, so we gotta get the thumb out somehow. There we go. It fits really nicely. What is happening? What are you doing? I didn't even see the screen. I was paying attention to my mitten here. Dad. Okay, see the mitten, how it looks. He has this like little miniature hand and he thinks it's so funny. But there it is. The mitten is complete. So now you just have to make one more exactly like it, which I have right here because I made one off camera. And it's exactly the same. Right hand and left hand are exactly alike. So there, oh, my Fitbit is in the way. There we go. Cool. So there we have it. The mittens are complete. Just make 2 or make as many as you want in all the different colors that you want, and there they are. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Red Heart Yarns and Yarn Inspiration for providing the softest yarn here, and thank you to my dad, who is super silly, but also for filming this tutorial, editing it, and posting it up on YouTube for all of you to see. Thank you to you for watching, and until next time, happy hooking!